Hello again, all my fish-a-lots out there, and welcome to another edition of Fishing with Johnny Fish-a-Lot. As you can tell, the holiday season is upon us, and it's a perfect time of year to buy your beloved fish-a-lot all the great fishing gifts and tools that they need in order to maximize their time out on the water this winter, as well as the coming fishing season, and catch them some more fish. So in this episode, we're going to fill up that stocking with carp gear. Stay tuned, and let's get into it. Well, all right, let's get started with filling up this stocking full of carp fishing goodies. This is my childhood stocking that my parents so resourcefully wrote John on, right? I mean, nowadays you can tell behind me everything's embroidered and fancy and whatever. You know, you just need a Sharpie. That's all you need, guys, right? Let's first talk about some weights. Why not weigh down that Christmas stocking early in the morning? You know, make a fish-a-lot work for it a little bit. And sticking it in the toe makes it feel like there's just so much gear in there, right? And this is going to be a pretty heavy stocking. You just wait as I drop a weight right on my knee. But anyway, these weights are all designed to sink into the mud and keep your line down into the water column. This way, when a carp is approaching your line or your bait, they're not getting into the line. They're not feeling the line. As soon as they feel the line up on them, they spook off, they're gone. So with these type of weights, you want to sink that line down into the mud, into the mire, and when the carp comes swimming up to look at your nice pack bait or your floating boilie or whatever the case might be, they just find your bait and they're not finding your line. So that's the reason why these are designed the way they are. And another great weight is, of course, a method lead. I do not go fishing for carp without my method lead. Now, nothing to be intimidated about this. This is literally just a weight that you could pack soft baits around. So these little grooves will catch panko and sugar and you know, I have videos about how to make a pack bait, and I have the ingredients that we're going to stick in the stocking too to make the pack bait, so stand by for that. But when you make pack bait, it's very soft bait, and these grooves are just going to catch the bait, and so you're going to pack it with your fist around here, and then you're going to put the hook in there, and that's going to be your weight. And so you can buy a whole case of these things. Doesn't cost you much. It's literally, you use it just the same as like a Carolina rig. So here's a method lead right here. And see, it just slides on your line. There's nothing to it. Actually, you can see this little red here. That's a piece of my pack bait that's still hard and stuck in there. So you can tell how well these weights grab pack bait and even dough bait. I mean, they just grab it really well that it's still stuck in there days after I fished with it. So again, nothing to it. It's just a weight. You put it on your line, you pack bait around it, and then you put your hook. Here's my hook, and then you put your hook in there and you cast it out. So don't be overwhelmed with different types of method leads or different things like that. It's literally a Carolina rig. And if you don't want to fish it like a Carolina rig, you just put a stopper knot up here or whatever. You know, you could put a crimp bead on there, whatever you need to do, and it won't move up and down. But yeah, it's just that. That's all it is. So all you do is you type in Amazon method lead. It'll come right up. Or I make it even easier for you. I'll put a link in the description below of method leads and the different kinds of method leads that you can buy. All right, now when you're shopping for method leads, don't go too light, okay? I mean, you can go light if you want. It just depends on the fishing application you're using, but I typically use heavier method leads, and the reason for that is I like fishing with hair rigs. And this is a hair rig right here. So you can see I got a fake piece of corn on here with a Corda hook, and literally what happens is, you can tell how short that leader is, and literally what happens is the carp will pick up this corn, and the carp, he or she, only has this much line before they meet the method lead, before they meet the weight. And so what the weight will do is turn around this hook in the fish's mouth and put this hook right in the bottom of the carp's mouth every time. So I catch all my carp, I should say most of my carp, right in the bottom lip all the time. That's because of this hair rig. I got a shrink tubing around the hook at about a 45-degree angle, as you can tell right there. And that 45-degree angle turns that hook right into the fish's mouth. But it's the weight that catches the fish. So I use a little bit heavier method lead, maybe sometimes a little heavier than what I need. But the only reason for that is because it's the weight that turns around this hook and puts it in the bottom of the carp's mouth. So now let's take all these different weights and cram them in our stocking. All right, going in. Here we go. Our stockings right here. Got to jam these in here. Got to get them in the toe. There you go. Make sure you shake it down there so it's getting in that toe, right? You just want to cram as much in as possible. Want to really surprise your your beloved fish lot this holiday season, so get it in there. All right, next up, of course, you got the weight, and I mentioned the hooks. My favorite for carp are these Corda number 6 wide gap hooks. I mean, these things are absolutely fantastic. Let me show them to you right there. Got a different angle on them. These things are sharp. If you're going to invest in some good carp gear, invest in the hooks at a bare minimum, because a hook is the thing that's going to go into the fish's mouth, right? So these are number 6 wide gap Corda hooks. They're absolutely great. I'll put a link in the description below. Super sharp, super awesome. All right, well, those are the hooks. Let's get into some more carp-related terminal gear. Here you go. These are nifty little tools that you could use here. These are actually for your weights, the weights I just showed you. And what you do is, these things are super easy. You just take this. It's kind of got an anti-tangle helicopter sleeve right here. Super convenient. You remove that. You could put the weight on. See that little clip right there? I don't know if you can see it. Let's put it on my forehead so you can see it. There you go. Whatever works for filming for fish lots. So you put this little clip here. You put your weight on just like I showed you. You clip it in just like that. And this is like a little bit of an anti-tangle sleeve, so you won't run into an issue of having your weight tangle around as much. And there you go. And then there's a little clip here, so this could actually slide on to your micro swivel. So a great piece of carp gear, because you will use micro swivels for these things. You're not going to be using big heavy leaders a lot of times. And there you go. So here's a nice little bag. These don't cost you barely anything, so super cheap. A nice little convenient way to take on and off your weights. So you got these. You can't leave home without your fake corn. Fake corn is the best because you have a lot of little fish around when you're carp fishing. Keep in mind you're chumming for carp, right? You're throwing corn out there, you're throwing jello out there, you're throwing bread out there. So these are great because when the little fish come around, they'll nibble at these all day long, but they won't get it. Then when the carp comes, you actually have a piece of bait next to your hook. When the carp sucks this thing up with your hair rig and your number 6 Corda hook, that thing is going straight in the bottom of that carp's mouth, and you got yourself a fish. I love fake corn. For me, it's an absolute must. You can literally just Google search fake corn carp, and a million things will come up. But I'll make it even easier for you fish lots out there. I'll put a link in the description below, and you can check out these fake corns just for yourself. So I like pink. I like yellow. Yellow's great because that's actually the color of corn. Again, you get some rings, easy, micro swivels. I really like micro swivels for carp fishing, only because they're small. Again, using some of the tactics I just discussed with weights, kind of sinking them into the muck and mire. You don't have to worry about these. Smaller is better for carp a lot of times because carp are really a fascinating fish. They have great eyesight. They got barbels. They use their lateral lines. They have an incredible sense of smell. They have a lot of senses that come into play when they're looking for food. And so the smaller you go, generally the better it is. Now, these are size 8 micro swivels in a 10-pack. So that works out pretty good. All right, another great tool for carp fishing in terms of terminal tackle are micro clips or small clips. And so these are Corda clip links. You can tell by this picture right here, that's what they look like, that white picture right there. It's just a quick link. It's super easy. When my leaders get damaged, I use braid a lot for carp, again, because it sinks. I don't want the carp running into the line. But braid is not abrasion resistant. So if a carp really runs me into some cover or something, you're going to probably have to change your rig because you don't want to break off another fish. So this is great. I can just remove it really easily, put a new rig on, pre-made rigs. It's perfect. I highly recommend this. So this saves you a ton of time, and the more time you save, the more you can maximize your time out there on the water and catch more fish. Next up is helicopter sleeves. I recommend these too. Again, these are more like anti-tangle type of things, but with those micro swivels and these fishing clips, the great thing about it is this fits over the clip, so you don't have to worry about the swivel undoing itself, coming off the clip by itself. The other thing you really need for terminal tackle and carp fishing, the types of applications that I'm talking to you about, is a baiting needle. It's super easy. They're super cheap. Don't cost you virtually anything. And all it is it's this little tiny hook. I don't know if you can see it. It's just a little tiny hook that grabs the end of your hair rig. So you slip your corn up onto here, and then you pull the corn off onto your hair rig. Really quick, really easy. That's kind of like the basic terminal gear that you could use. Again, I'll save you some time, put links and everything in the description below. This way you can go find them pretty easily. You could search around, pick out what you like. But that's your terminal gear, so let's get this up in the stocking. Next up, a great piece of terminal tackle is just a bait grinder for carp. This is super cheap. I think it's cost me like 10 bucks or 12 bucks or something like that. You can see the teeth in there. all you do is you put some boilies or some dog food or whatever in here, and you grind it all up, and then you throw it out there. Now, this is great for wintertime fishing because I actually don't want the carp eating a whole lot of my chum. Their metabolism is going to go down, and they're not going to eat as much. And when they do eat, they'll get full, and they'll stop eating. So I want to grind some stuff up super fine so that the carp can't actually eat like a chunk of a boilie and get full. They're actually going to look for food to get full, and that's going to bring them to my corn or my boilie or whatever is sitting on the end of my hair rig. So this is a great tool, especially heading into winter, to really grind up some bait and get some fine chum out there just for the scent without actually having the carp eat the chum. So you can throw this one in the stocking as well. Next up, let's talk about line. I'm a big fan of J-Braid. I talked about this on my previous episode. And of course, it comes with this free pair of scissors right here, which is just fantastic. This is line cutting scissors, and it also comes with that little tip there. Now, this is incredibly important for carp fishing because you got that little tip right here, and that's so important for, your micro swivels, your rings, all sorts of stuff like that. So this is an absolutely great little tool. Even if you're not going to buy J-Braid, I would recommend buying a pair of scissors just like this. But with J-Braid, you get the pair of scissors in with the line. So great deal there. So let's get these into the stocking. Now you can tell it's not taking much. There we go. It's not taking much. We're already starting to fill this stocking up with some great carp gear. It's getting a little heavy and everything. Now, if you want to be funny, which I highly recommend, by the way, what I would do is actually throw some Carp Groceries in the stocking, right? Get yourself some sweet corn from the supermarket. Why not? Like, give your fish a lot all the tools they need for pack bait. Pack bait is a perfect winter bait for carp because, again, it doesn't have large particles. It breaks up really quickly. It just gets carp in the area. It doesn't fill them up. So you don't want to be using like chunks of boilies everywhere because if the carp eat a few of those boilies, they're going to be full. But, throw some corn in there. There you go. So basically, that's your pack bait. You got some corn, you got some Jello, you got your panko. Easy enough. Pack bait's ready to go. You got your method leads in here to squeeze it all around, and you're ready to go. So, starting to get full. Now, if you want to load this thing up with more useful carp gear and less groceries, you could also do that. So let's take some groceries out of this. There we go. I do recommend the groceries, though. Maybe wrap it up in a separate Christmas box and put it under the Christmas tree. And when your fish lot opens it, they're going to open corn and bread and Jello. So that actually might be pretty funny. There's your suggestions from Johnny Fish Lot, by the way. What I'd recommend just for carp, because we're running out of room here. You run out of room pretty quick in these little stockings. Heading into winter, I'd recommend a PVA bag. What these bags are, basically you're going to cram your dog treats or whatever in this little bag here. It's going to catch like that, and then you're going to wrap it up like this. Okay, and that's going to be your bag. And that's going to be your chum, and the chum is going to be right next to the hook. So you want to bring the carp right next to the hook, and hopefully what they choose to eat is going to be your bait with the hook on the end of it. But this is a pretty important tool. It's not a must. You get away without it. You get away just with pack bait. That's just as good. But PVA bag is pretty good for chumming and for getting those fish in an area pretty quickly. Now, the other good thing about PVA bag is this dissolves in water. So this mesh material that they use, you wrap up your bait in it, and it dissolves in water, and all the bait falls out. So there's no evidence of the bag, so the carp are just coming in an area looking for a pile of food, basically. And this is a great way to deliver a pile of food that your hook is sitting right in the middle of. So that's a PVA bag. So you can take that right here, you can jam that in there, get it in. Okay, next up, I'm a huge fan of boilies. We talked about this on the last episode too, but I like pineapple, I like tutti frutti type of flavored boilies. You are going into winter time, so these smaller boilies may be preferable. You could just put them on the end of your rig. You could use this instead of corn, whatever the case might be. Fake corn works just fine, but if you want to switch it up and use boilies, smaller boilies, you can tell that's roughly the size of a corn kernel. That's going to be great. So you can take this and jam it in there as well. So next up is scent for your carp bait. So I'm a big fan of using scent on all my baits. I use Procure like Bunker, Menhaden, Procure on my paddle tails. I'm a big fan of adding scent to your lures, or in this case, your bait application. And so there's a ton of companies out there that make different scents for carp. I personally really like Tutti Frutti scent from Rod Hutchinson. You've seen me use that on a bunch of videos that I've made. This is another company called Mainline with Smart Liquid. This is a really cool product too. So the reason why I'm talking about this product is because we're heading into winter. And what this is designed to do is break up really slowly in the water column. And it's a really pungent scent. So I personally always love going with fruit smells, Tutti Frutti, strawberry blast, pineapple, you name it. And then the other scents I like to go to, just in case the carp likes something a little more savory, is fish smells, right? Like halibut boilies or crab boilies or something that smells like fish. The other added benefit to using something that smells like fish is, of course, it attracts a lot of catfish as well. And I like catching catfish and carp, so it's always good to hedge your bets and have some fun catching both. But in terms of this breaks up super slow, which is advantageous for wintertime fishing, and it coats the bottom and the plant life and the environment around it with the gel. So not only does the area with your bait really give off a nice pungent Tutti Frutti type of smell, but everything around it that this cloud it creates touches will also give off the same smell. But this will be really good for the wintertime because you want a more longer term smell to get lethargic fish into a feeding area. So let's get these in here. I will give you a bit of advice when using scents. I would recommend wrapping them up like this. A lot of times if you order them, they will come wrapped up in cellophane like this. And this is perfect because you don't want this leaking all over your stocking, all over your fireplace, all over your Christmas gifts, and then your entire house will smell like Tutti Frutti. Although I will say these scents absolutely smell fantastic, and you almost want to drink it if you didn't know that it was meant for fish bait. But it smells really, really good. So when I come back from carp fishing, my kayak and my car actually smells like a candy store versus, a fish slaughterhouse, which is always an added benefit of these type of flavors and carp fishing. So there you go for all you carp fish-a-lots out there. So let's cram all this stuff into the stocking. Oh boy, look at that. We are just full of great carp gear right here. So if you really want to surprise your fish-a-lot when they come down the stairs Christmas morning and take a look at this jam-packed stocking full of stuff, is to top it off with a fishing reel that they could use for carp. Now, what I would recommend is an Okuma Avenger. These won't break the bank. They're anywhere from $50 to $70, depending on the model you get. And they're all bait runners, which is perfect for carp. So basically, you need a bait runner. You throw your line out there. You click the bait runner on. The carp takes off, takes the line out. You click it into gear, and you catch the fish. So this is an absolutely great option to top off your stocking for this holiday season. Now, I use these reels, so I don't have the box, but just keep the box and put it on top of the bag, just like that. Or if you have the reel out, you can do that too, Johnny Fish-a-Lot style. Just put a reel on top of your fishing stocking, and you call it a day, right? And then, of course, my personal favorite, which I mentioned in my last video, is a carp fishing slingshot. Who doesn't like waking up Christmas morning, even if you're 40 years old, you come downstairs and you have a slingshot, and a fishing slingshot, no less. You simply put all your pack bait or whatever you need in here to chum the water. You pull it back, boom, and you catch yourself, and you start chumming up the water carp style. Now, the great part about this is it's really lean right here, so you just stick that right in the corner. Well, you got to get it in here. I really stuff these stockings good. If you want to check out my other video, I stuffed that one pretty good too. Just jam it in there. All right. All right, and there you have it, fish-a-lots. A carp holiday season fishing stocking. Brilliant. Hanging from your fireplace, your beloved fish-a-lot comes down. Whoa, boy, look at all this carp gear. I can catch all this carp this coming season, and this winter, no less, right? You get your fish-a-lot a bunch of carp gear like this, and they can go winter fishing. They open them all. They're not even going to want to open up their gifts. They just want to grab this gear. They're going to head right out the door, get all bundled up, and start hitting the lake, pond, or river, wherever you live for those carp. That is the ultimate goal of stocking a Christmas fishing stocking with carp gear. So, all right, fish-a-lots, I hope you gained a lot of value out of this video, and if you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button plus that notification bell so that when I post new content, you won't miss anything. I'll have a link of everything I discussed in the show notes below or in the description below. And don't forget to click on the cards at the end of this video so you can check out my other video where I just crammed another stocking full of more versatile fishing gear for saltwater, freshwater, whatever kind of fishing you want to do. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all your time. Have a great holiday season. I'll see you out there on the water.